Hello there guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today we're gonna take a look at the Audi e-Tron 55 Quattro. So what is the e-Tron? This is basically Audi's first mainstream foray into the electric world. Now some of you might actually say that this isn't the first fully electric car Audi developed, and that would be true because the first one was the Audi e-Tron R8, but that was more like a sort of experiment. It was a small batch of cars that were produced and they are no longer available. This is, however, still available, and it's going on 4 years old now, so it's bound to get an update pretty soon. And this is an surprisingly popular car, especially in Europe, where the Scandinavian countries have bought this car in bulk before Tesla arrived, and this was the most popular SUV in Norway for a long time. I'm sure Audi was taken by surprise by this approach from the customers, and I was surprised as well. But this is a really good car, and we're gonna talk about it in this video. In terms of design, you might think that this has a very familiar shape because it is based on the same platform as the Audi Q7. But don't think this is a Q7 electric, if you will, because it's a smaller car overall. It has a smaller footprint. But up front, you have a huge blocked out grille with a few open slats over here for cooling the batteries under the floor. You have an opening down below over here as well, and beautiful headlights with a very cute daytime running light signature. As usual, Audi knows its lighting technology, and you can get matrix LED technology on this car. That could be an optional feature depending on the country you're in. We also have a open slat over here to optimize the airflow around the car. From the sides, you'll notice clean cut lines, a very elegant shape. You can get wheels in 19, 20, and 21-inch sizes. We have the 20-inch wheels over here, and we have yellow brake calipers that create a very nice contrast with the rest of the car, which is Antigua blue. You'll also notice a very interesting detail over here. This is the new digital side mirror. It's a camera basically that projects the image on the door panel inside. It's not the best approach in the business. We've seen this on the Honda E, for example, and it works a bit better, but I'm going to talk about it later on. It does offer the car a more avant-garde sort of look, if you will. Over here you have a charging port. Of course, it's on the other side of this car, but you can optionally get one charging port on this side as well. So you have one on each side. You have a button that opens it and closes it for you, so you don't have to get your hands dirty. The doors open wide, and they do cover the door sills, so you don't get your trousers ruined whenever you get in or out of the car and it is dirty. And the wide opening of the doors in the back will facilitate the entry for any kind of passenger. The boot is spacious enough, but I like the design around the back where we have a LED light bar going from side to side. That looks absolutely brilliant. The front side of the cabin is typical Audi business. We have the usual MMI multimedia system right over here, using a rather large screen with a high resolution and very good responsiveness. We have the Audi iCockpit system right in front of us, the digital instrument cluster, which can show the information you want in a couple of ways. But mostly you'll have a power gauge on the left instead of a rev counter, and that's fine. It works brilliantly. Over here we have another screen for the HVAC controls. Now, many people have criticized it because it does take your view from the road in order to adjust various settings, but the screen does have haptic feedback, so it will vibrate whenever your selection is made. So that takes away some of your concerns. Also, I found that most of the time while using this car, I left it in auto mode, so I didn't really have to meddle with this area at all. I only had to adjust the temperature once or twice, and that was it. So it's not that big of a deal as some people make it seem. What will be annoying will be the fact that you will leave a lot of fingerprints, and there is a lot of dust gathered around all these areas, so you'll have to clean it up rather often if that annoys you. Also over here we have driving selectors, good materials, metal and plastic, and good quality plastic and glass. We have this flight simulator sort of gear shifter that I actually like, a huge storage compartment over here, a adjustable armrest, and everything you could possibly wish for. The materials overall are of good quality. The plastic on the dashboard, on the top side of the dashboard, is soft touch, and you can get leather as well if you want to. The same applies for the door panels, and we have Alcantara everywhere, and these S-line seats that look actually pretty good. They offer a lot of side support, and they are very adjustable to reach your perfect driving position and for your passenger as well. One last mention I have to make is the top side of the door panel, where you have this screen for the digital rearview mirrors, but we're going to talk about that a bit later on. As you probably already saw, getting in and out of this car won't be an issue. It's really easy because you have a high-riding vehicle with wide opening doors, so it's really easy to get in and out. In the back, the atmosphere is the same as in the front. Quality materials on the top side of the car and plenty of space. We also have an armrest over here with a storage space inside. It's quite weird that you don't get a ski hatch. You have a control panel for the HVAC system in the back because this car has a 4-zone climate control system, and that's quite fancy. But in terms of room, you have plenty of headroom, elbow room for 4 adults. The driver's seat is adjusted in my comfortable driving position. I'm 6 feet tall and about 250 pounds, and I have no problem sitting in the back of a driver of the same size. Moreover, this seat is currently a bit further back than it would normally be because this car has comfort access, and that means the seat will retract or go forward whenever you get in or out of the car in order to make more room for your access. The moment you set off with this car, you start feeling like you're a aircraft pilot. That's because you have this lever over here that's basically serving as your gear shift selector as well. And when you set off, the car emits an electric hum that sort of replicates the sound an aircraft makes on the runway. So you feel like you're about to take off, and everything in here is pointing right at you, so it makes you feel like you're about to like you're in a cockpit, for example. So what about the driving experience in the Audi e-Tron? Well, it's, to be fair, it's and to keep it short, it's incredibly nice. The suspension is the highlight of the entire experience, without a doubt. All e-Tron models get the air suspension as standard, and it is absolutely brilliant. And it is even more impressive considering the fact that this electric SUV has been built on a platform that was created for an internally combustion engine car. Initially, it's on the same platform as the Q7. And when that happens on electric cars, normally they get their ride quite ruined because the platform itself wasn't designed from the get-go to support this kind of weight. Well, in this case, it does a brilliant job. It's quiet, soft, refined. You can't really ask for more. And actually, refinement would be a very good definition for this car, because on top of the refined ride, you have a very quiet interior at any kind of speed, including on the highway, where these smaller digital mirrors take away a lot of the noise. Now, Audi says they are offering this for people who are looking to squeeze every single mile possible from the battery, because they make the car more aerodynamic. But the truth of the matter is, they're not that great. I mean, they look fancy, and I'm sure they make the car more aerodynamic, but overall using them is a bit of an issue, because you are used from your regular car to look outside the window whenever you're making sure you can do a maneuver. When you're trying to figure out what's happening behind you, you're looking outside the window. So you have to readjust your brain in order to make it look down and on this door panel in order to get the same job done. So that's the first issue I have with them. And the second one is that they could have fit, I mean, it would have been better if we had a bigger screen over here, because this is a rather big SUV, and on big SUVs you usually get a bigger rear view mirror. So this one doesn't really cut it in my book. I would have preferred a larger screen. I'm sure Audi was constrained by physical issues and manufacturing issues, but it would have been better if we had a bigger screen. It would have helped out getting to know what's happening behind you a lot faster. Leaving that aside, as I said, the ride is incredibly refined. The atmosphere inside is very quiet, so you don't have issues whatsoever on this front. Let's talk about the specs for a bit. The car we're driving is the Audi e-Tron 55 Quattro. Now 55 tells you what kind of power we're looking at over here, and Quattro tells you that this car has all-wheel drive because it has a dual motor setup. It has an electric motor on the front axle and one on the rear axle. Overall, they can deliver up to 408 horsepower and 664 Newton meters of torque, and they are enough for a car that's even as big as this one, tipping the scales at 2.5 tons. So you won't feel like you need any more power whenever you're driving it. Furthermore, you can do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.7 seconds, and that's pretty fast. You'll probably be able to beat most hot hatches off the line with this huge SUV from a light. So that's once again a good thing. The top speed is 200 kilometers an hour, but that's not really relevant because this car wasn't exactly designed to be driven on the highway. As for the battery, it has a usable capacity of 86.5 kilowatt hours, and according to Audi, it should offer you a range of about 420 kilometers with a full charge. That's according to the WLTP testing cycle. So I did my usual range test with this car, and I did it in winter time. Right now it's winter. The exterior temperature is about 5 degrees Celsius, and it's running on winter tires, so that was bound to have an impact on the range. I was surprised to see the car deliver about 300 kilometers of range around town, about 300 kilometers of range on the highway, and 400 on a series of B roads, where the average speed was about 75 kilometers an hour. And that's pretty good considering the conditions. I mean, I never expected to get 420 kilometers of range, but considering it's cold, I still got 400 out of the city. So it's impressive. And I can see now why Scandinavian people love the Audi e-Tron and why it was the best-selling car in Norway for quite a long time. As far as charging goes, oh, and by the way, if you want to see my real-life range test, I'm going to drop a link over here in case you didn't see it already. So in terms of charging, this car can take up to 155 kilowatts from a charger, according to Audi, and I tested that out. I used a 300 kilowatt charger, and the car topped out at 150 kilowatts. That's impressive, more so because it fed at that kind of power at 150 kilowatts for most of the time. So it kept that charging rate up a long time, which is important when you're trying to get a lot of energy in your battery in a short period of time. Overall, I fed 60 kilowatt hours of energy into the battery in about 28 minutes, 25 minutes, which is pretty good. I went from 20% to 80% in 20 minutes or something like that, which is absolutely fine. I mean, I added about 200 kilometers of range in about 20 minutes, and I think that's good. Of course, if you're going to use a wall charger at home, that's going to take a little longer. If you're going to use a regular wall socket, that's going to take about 2 days or something like that to recharge the battery. But if you're going to use a fast charger, that's what you're going to get. But can you drive this car in a more dynamic manner? Well, you can, but it's not going to deliver the thrill you might be expecting from it, because after all, we still have the laws of physics to keep in mind, and this is still a rather heavy car overall. So it tips the scales at 2.5 tons. Add 1 or 2 people in it like myself, and you're nudging 3 tons. So yeah, it keeps its composure rather well when you're driving it normally, but when you're going, more at a faster pace in a set of twisty bends. You're starting to feel the weight pushing the car towards the outside of the corner. You're gonna start to feel some body roll. You're gonna start feeling some mechanical grip losses and stuff like that. So it's not really designed to be a sports car. But I don't think Audi wanted to make this a sports car. If you want a sportier feeling, you should get the Audi e-Tron S model, which has 3 electric motors and torque vectoring on the rear axle, and that should be a hoot to drive. But this car, this was designed for people who just want some comfort, luxury, and just going from one place to the other with their families, maybe in absolute serenity and comfort with ease of mind. And this car delivers on all of those fronts. That said, this has been my review of the Audi e-Tron. It's a quite impressive car, even today, nearly 4 years after it was launched. And I can't wait to see what Audi brings out in this field with a technical update, because this car is bound to get an upgrade pretty soon. So stick around. If that car is launched, we'll probably get it for a test drive, and I'm going to share my thoughts on it as well. Until next time, don't forget to like, share, and of course subscribe to keep this channel alive. Ciao.